literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many 18 Puranas and 18 sub-Puranas. So Puranas are loosely called mythology, means they're stories. Although there are those who consider Puranas also as really what happened, but in any case there is no dispute about Itihasa. Iti ha asa. Itihasa is made of this way. Iti ha asa. Iti. Thus, ha, once upon a time, asa it was. Mahabharata, Ramayana. When they do that, then there is what we call poetic license. Meaning that there is likely to be a lot of exaggeration also when they write. And therefore, text like Ramayana has a basic structure of itihasa, meaning what happened. At the same time, there may be many descriptions which may not be very realistic also, because that is the license that a poet has to exaggerate things. And therefore, for example, we have a text called Ramcharitmanas, in Hindi, which is the Ramayana written by Sage Tulsidas in Hindi. You would say that 1 crore Vanaras are there, 1 crore. And 1 crore bears were there and that. So, when you read that description, you would think there is not enough room even to account for all these people. And so, there are some exaggerations involved in those kind of descriptions. But for itihasa, the basic structure used to be there, meaning that they are based on some happenings or some episodes that really happened. It is the stories coming down to us from generations, and therefore likely to be changes in there, likely to be modifications, likely to be imaginations, so all these things are going to be there. And so itihasa such as Ramayana and Mahabharata have a certain structure which would be, at the same time there are likely to be many aspects in there which may be the imagination of the poet, exaggeration of poet. So Ramayana and Mahabharata are called itihasa. Others are called Purana, what is loosely translated as mythology. Like Srimad Bhagavatam is a Purana. So Vishnu Pada, 18 Puranas are there, major Puranas are there, 18 minor Puranas, Upa-Puranas are there. Also is a huge body of literature, and Puranas are generally explained as elaboration of Vedas. Veda Upabrahmanam, meaning that the Puranas elaborate on what is stated in the Vedas. So Vedas may state something in a few sentences, and there may be long, big stories explaining those statements in Puranas. For example, Vedas would say, Satyam Vada, speak truth. And there may be a whole story of Harishchandra, of what is meant by speaking truth. So, what we see in Puranas would have their root in Vedas someplace. At the same time, we will not find the whole Purana in Vedas, only some aspects we will find. So, Puranas involve some facts and a lot of imaginations. Basically, Puranas are there to explain us the spiritual principles, the various spiritual experiences that great devotees had, great sages had, They also describe the glories of Ishvara, glories of the Lord. Puranas also describe, the various devotees. And the main purpose of Purana is to invoke devotion in us for Ishvara. So Itihasa and Purana, these are the two categories of literature, somewhat different from each other. Any further question? Switch on that thing.
One confusion where like Krishna, like even though the limitation of the body, like knew he was God, right? But if he was in the limitation of humans, I've always wondered like if God like knows like what is like absolutely right, like even they had suffered like some like bad karmic consequences, so like why like to what like this, how do I say this?
How come their description is not like God, perfect God, and how come they sound more like human beings?
Okay.
So that is the purpose of avatara. Avataranam, meaning coming down. So, Bhagavan or Ishvara, who is transcendental reality, comes down. And the purpose of this avatar or incarnation is described in the Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srajamyam. Whenever there is glani of dharma, when the dharma, righteousness in society declines, adharma, unrighteousness becomes powerful. So usually as long as dharma prevails in the society, so long society functions smoothly. But adharma starts becoming powerful, then slowly there are a lot of conflicts, a lot of injustice, a lot of suffering. And that is when Lord Krishna says that whenever dharma declines and adharma becomes powerful, that is when I incarnate to respond to a given situation. So we have number of incarnations. The main incarnations are said to be 10. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. Of them, Lord Krishna is the latest one. Not the last, but latest for sure. So when the Lord incarnates in any form, the first form was a fish. But in any form, whether it is Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, boar, Nrsimha, half man, half lion, he is Ishvara, meaning that he retains his omniscience, omnipotent, omnipresence. So all glories of Ishvara are present in that form also. Except that only those necessary for accomplishing that purpose, they alone become manifest. So Matsya Avatara comes, does his job of saving the Vedas and departs. Kurma Avatara comes, a tortoise, does his job of supporting the Mount Meru for carrying out, the churning of the ocean, departs. So some of those avatars, many of them came only for accomplishing a small thing. The first human avatar was, who was the first human avatar? First human incarnation. Anybody remembers? Pardon me? Vamana, right. So, Vamana, the dwarf, that is how translated, or a brahmachari Batuga. So that is the first human avatar. And each of them came to accomplish a given purpose. Except the avatar of Rama and Krishna came and they stayed on this earth for a long time. The purpose of the avatar of Lord Rama was to set an example for the society as to what is ideal conduct, what is called dharma, what is righteousness, what is the right thing to do under a given situation. Therefore, Rama is said to be embodiment of dharma. It's called dharma vigraha, embodiment of dharma. Therefore, Lord Rama lived a life which we can emulate. What is the relation with father, with mother, with brothers, with spouse, with friends, even with enemies? So therefore, the avatar of Lord Rama, which is elaborately described in Ramayana, is meant to illustrate what is an ideal human life and to teach us how we should conduct ourselves under various circumstances with various relationships. Lord Krishna's avatar is to teach what to do, not to emulate what he did. So Lord Krishna, we should do what he said, not what he did. In case of Lord Rama, we can do what he did. So avatars had this specific purpose. And these two avatars spent a long time on the earth and did various leela, as we say, the sports. Mainly paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the righteous, vinashaya duskritam, for destroying the wicked, dharma samsthapanarthaya, for establishing dharma, righteousness. Lord Krishna says, Sambhavami yuge yuge, whenever required, I take an incarnation to accomplish. Because the society can run in harmony only when dharma prevails. If dharma prevails, there is disharmony and conflict. Therefore, to set everything right, the Lord takes incarnation.
Namaste Swamiji, thanks for that answer. Can you expand a little more on the difference between Maryada Purushottam and Purnavatar? It believed that Rama did not know that he was Avatar, or he just didn't, maybe he knew but he didn't say it. Of course Krishna fully, owned that identity. And I think you answered part of that question already, but that was a question that I was going to ask.
Yes, that is what Lord Rama chose to do. You say Maryada Purushottama. Maryada means boundaries, meaning that Lord Rama always observed boundaries in all his interactions with others to demonstrate what boundaries we should have when we interact with others. Lord Krishna's avatar's purpose was different, somewhat. That's why we said we cannot do what Lord Krishna did. Well, the devotees of Lord Krishna would like to call him Purna Avatar, was complete avatar. Lord Krishna came down in the succession of moon, Chandra. Lord Rama came down in the succession of sun. So they say sun is only 12 kalas, moon is 16. So Rama represents only 12 and Krishna represents 16. This is how the devotees, they say. But Lord Rama came for a certain purpose which he accomplished. Lord Krishna came for a purpose which he accomplished. In that sense, you can say that avatar of Lord Krishna was Purna Avatara. Not that Lord Rama did not know who he was, but he concealed that identity. So in the battle with Ravana, that battle went on for days and days and weeks, and there was just no end to that. It seems that Lord Rama got tired and exhausted. That time sage Agastya comes, gives him teaches him Aditya Hridayam, and also says who you are. And so, as though reminding him that you are Bhagavan, and therefore don't act like a human being. You are Bhagavan, do your job. So then again, Brahma came back to his old status of being an ideal human being. So he chose to conceal his identity. Although there are a few occasions in Ramayana also when Lord Rama did things that are superhuman, like building a causeway along the ocean, like there was one event before killing Vali, Sugriva wanted to see whether Lord Rama had the strength to kill Vali. And Rama in one arrow shoots 7, palm trees, and things like that. So there are a few events of superhuman parakrama in case of Lord Rama, but mainly he was the ideal human being. That is how he chose to be. At the back, when you pass on the microphone there. Oh, you had a question? Oh, then you go ahead.
So we're taught that one of the premises of the Gita is that if you have to fight, you have to fight. You don't just the term we use is spiritual bypassing. You don't just sort of retreat from conflict if you need to have one. But before the war, the Pandavas were willing to just settle for 5 villages. And it seems to me that if that deal was accepted and they just settled for 5 villages, well, the entire rest of the kingdom is still quote unquote like
be possessed by Duryodhana.
Yeah. So would that not have been essentially still spiritual bypassing? Still like retreating from like having to fight?
It's a matter of weighing the consequences of the two. Because both the sides knew that battle means everybody will be killed. It was a great genocide like a situation. And therefore, Yudhishthira basically did not want to fight the battle. And no people in the right mind wanted the battle, war to take place. But Duryodhana was bent upon that, and therefore he did not yield in any way. This is Lord Krishna went to Duryodhana, his court, with a proposal, peace proposal, and reasoned with Duryodhana to settle with some limited thing. And Duryodhana refused even to give up an inch or even a land equal to pinhead, he said, I will not yield. If Pandavas want anything, they have to fight. So he wanted the battle. He was very confident that there were Bhishma and Drona and other people on his side, and therefore they will win the battle. So he was banking upon these people, Bhishma and Drona, Karna, to win the battle, and so he did not yield. So it is not a question of being right or proper. It was just his insistence and his arrogance, Duryodhana's arrogance. And that arrogance he displays throughout Mahabharata. And his strong enmity for Pandavas and particular of Bhimsen. And so he just could not tolerate them, right from childhood. And Pandavas were stronger and more popular than Kauravas and Duryodhana. He just could not stand them from the childhood. He was so jealous. And therefore he tried to kill Pandavas on several occasions and did not succeed. But therefore he out of spite, he wanted to fight the battle. So it's not a matter of fighting battle or anything. Lord Krishna doesn't say fight the battle. He says do what is right. If that involves, and this is not fighting battle, understand. This is the fighting against the forces of adharma. This battle is between dharma and adharma rather than between Pandavas and Kauravas. And therefore Arjuna represents Pandava, represents dharma. And it is the role of Kshatriya to protect dharma and fight against the evil. So Duryodhana represented that evil. Active resistance against evil, this is how it is say, and that is what the duty of Kshatriya is. So it's not fighting battle, understand. Not fighting against Kaurava. It is to protect dharma. Ideally that was the intention of this battle on the part of Pandavas. That's what Lord Krishna wants Arjuna to do, not just fight battle. At one point in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, before you fight this battle, make sure that you have this state of mind, this disposition of mind. First acquire that disposition of mind and then fight the battle. It says, Sukha dukkhe samay krutva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddha yujyasva naivam papam avapsasi. If you fight this battle with this attitude and disposition, then you will not incur any sin, because sin is not from an action, sin is the intention with you perform an action. But if your mind is detached from win and loss, from gain and loss, win and defeat, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, in that case you will not incur sin, meaning that you have a state of mind which is committed to a higher cause, not just fighting the battle. So Lord Krishna does not teach fighting the battle. Teaches performing duty. What is the right thing to do in a given situation. Battle happens to be the duty of Arjuna at that time. But for us to take the lessons from the Bhagavad Gita is to do what is right in a given situation. And challenges, as it did for Arjuna, and you have to confront those challenges and not retreat from what is right. Anything? Any other question?
Namaste, Swamiji.
But did you have anything further to ask? He's not done, I'm sorry.
So the confusion is, wouldn't have accepting just 5 villages, would that still not have been a retreat?
Yeah, but the retreat is better than avoiding the massacre of millions of people. So it was a matter of weighing the outcome. And Pandava said, okay, we don't mind retreating if it means avoiding this battle and the massacre of people. So, therefore, a retreat is not necessarily a wrong thing. You have to see the overall result of your action. What result is for the good of the humanity. So, do that. If you have to sacrifice something, do that.
Namaste, Swamiji. I hope you're doing well, and I'm again very grateful that you took the time to talk to all of us. The way that my question relates to Itihas is, we have figures such as Ram, Krishna, Pandavas, ones that you just mentioned, and everything they do and everything they stand for is to help uphold and to protect Dharma. But something I've noticed is all of them have some connection to being a deva, or they're children of a deva or a devi. They have some sort of connection to them. And I'm wondering, as an ordinary human being who doesn't have that direct connection, what can we do to help uphold Dharma on our end?
So you mean they were superhuman beings, possessed of divine powers, and that what they could do, and we are ordinary human beings, don't possess those powers, and how can we do that? Is that the question? It's not that you need superhuman powers to do what is right. Superhuman powers were required to confront the others who were also superhuman beings. Like Bhishma, Drona, they were, unconquerable. But otherwise, it is not that you need superhuman powers. You need the determination. You need the conviction, number one, as to what is right, and determination to do what is right. First, understanding what is right. Secondly, conviction that I will do what is right, and determination that I will do it regardless of what challenges are. So you don't need superhuman power. What you need is conviction.
Namaste, Swamiji. I just want to talk about, earlier you were talking about Rama and Krishna, they've been on the earth for a long time, and the other avatars were just on earth for a brief second, not a brief second, but a good minute, and then they left because they did their whatever they had to do. But then Rama and Krishna, they were on there for a while, and they led people in the dharmic path. The thing is, I wanted to expand upon that, because there are other two avatars that I know of that are also been on the earth for a while, which would be Parashurama and Balarama. And I just wanted to ask you how did they also lead people on the dharmic path and stuff like that? And just wanted to expand upon that, that's all.
Right. Balarama, some people consider avatara, some others may not. Parashurama certainly is considered avatara. And the role of Parashurama is explained as, again, destroying evil in the form of Kshatriya kings who had become very evil-minded. So when the power comes, they say that the absolute power corrupts absolutely. So those days, Kshatriyas such as the Kartaviri, Arjuna, etc. had become so powerful that themselves then were a threat to the society. And therefore, Avatara Parashurama was for the purpose of eliminating those Kshatriyas who themselves became so powerful that they became a threat to the society. For example, Lord Krishna thought, as an incarnation, Lord Krishna basically eliminated so many dynasties, beginning with Kamsa and then Kala, Jarasandha and Kala, Kalayavana, and so many dynasties were eliminated by Lord Krishna. One dynasty remained. That was the Lord Krishna's own dynasty. The Yadu Vamsha, that remained because he belonged to that. And these Yadavas had become so powerful that nobody could defeat them. So Lord Krishna thought, what should we do now? That all other dynasties which were a threat to the human being, the human society, are eliminated. But if something is not done, this Yadavas themselves also will do the same thing. So what should they do? Now, he could kill other people like Jarasandha and so forth, one way or the other. He cannot kill his own people. So what should he do? Anybody has any idea of what Lord Krishna thought? Just as in a forest, a bamboo forest, when it becomes very hot, then the bamboos, rub against each other and sparks are created. And the whole forest, that's how forest fires happen. One of the reasons for forest fires is that everything has become so dry and there is this friction among some trees, and that's how fire is created. That's how Lord Krishna, that's the only way. The Yadavas can be destroyed is if they fight with each other. And so the situation was created when they fought. And that's how the Yadava Kula was also destroyed ultimately. But this was, and then Lord Krishna departed. So, other people didn't have to do that much. Parashurama had to only just destroy the Kshatriyas who became so intoxicated with power that they needed to be subdued. But Lord Krishna had a much bigger job to do.
Namaste, Swamiji. I also wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I had a question regarding characters like Drona and Bhishma and other such characters in the Itihasas that, although it sometimes exhibit certain dharmic characters, in the end they sided with the adharmic side. For example, Drona fought alongside the Kauravas in the war, and I just wanted to know what you thought, if they were adharmic or not, because I know Drona was a pretty good teacher and mentor for the Pandavas as well, but in the end he eventually did side with the Kauravas and fought against them. So I just want to know those kinds of characters that had certain moments that were good but also sided with the bad, what do you consider, which side of the coin they fell on?
Well, Bhishma and Drona, both of them thought that they have always been supported by Duryodhana. We have eaten the anna, the food of Duryodhana, and therefore they felt obliged to support Duryodhana. Not that they agreed with Duryodhana, but Bhishma and Drona, both of them felt that since Duryodhana has always supported them, taken care of them, therefore they thought it to be their moral duty to support Duryodhana. And that's the justification given as to why these two, Bhishma and Drona, took the side of Duryodhana. Which none of them wanted Pandavas to lose. Both of them wanted Pandavas to win. In fact, Duryodhana accused Bhishma Pitama also that you are not fighting wholeheartedly. I know that you don't want to kill Pandavas, that we are not fighting wholeheartedly. He said that to Drona also. And it was true in a way also. But they felt morally obliged to take the side of Duryodhana. Whatever be the interpretation of dharma.
Namaste, Swamiji. Thank you again for taking the time to speak with us. So my question is twofold. So one is, what is the path of karma, and why does Krishna instruct Arjuna to take the path? And secondly, is there anything in the Gita that talks about like how we can be, I guess how we could still be true to our Hinduism, but still be accepting of, like, what does it say about being accepting of other religions or other identities?
So what is the first question about karma?
The first one was so Krishna in the Gita says that he instructs Arjuna to take a path towards karma. So I guess the question is, what is the path, or what do you suggest is a good path to reach karma?
Lord Krishna takes the path of duty. The word karma there means duty, means doing what is right in a given situation. Therefore, what applies to Arjuna would not apply to us, but to us it applies in this way, that we also should do what is right. The reason why this is said is because very often we like to do what is convenient. Sometimes what is right is not convenient, because it involves inconvenience, involves letting go of things, involves putting up with pain. What is right is not always convenient. And therefore, we may tend to take the convenient path and let go what is right. So that is what Lord Krishna says, do what is right, regardless of what the outcome is. What is meant by that is, regardless of what the personal outcome is. When you do something, outcome will be there, but we always measure things based on what the personal outcome would be. When Lord Krishna says, perform your duty without attachment to the outcome, what is meant is that let your personal reward not be the consideration in what you do. When you do something, there is going to be an outcome, and you have to take that into account and determine what you do. We are losing the sound, But do not, the criterion for doing something, let that not be your personal gain. The criterion is what is right. That may bring out a personal gain, or it may bring about a personal loss. Usually we do things to assure personal gain, and so we bend the path. And therefore it is likely that we may take the path of adharma. Lord Krishna says no. Do what is right, whether it is convenient or not, whether it is personally beneficial or not. So this is what Lord Krishna teaches as far as the karma means the dharma or the duty is concerned. So what was the second question?
So basically, the second question is about, does the Gita give us guidance on how to positively interact with people of other faiths, or how to basically, like, how we can have interfaith dialogue without, with still being true to our Hindu cultures and traditions and teachings?
Other faiths did not exist at that time. Other viewpoints existed. Other thinkers existed, other philosophies existed, but no other faiths existed at that time. And particularly no adversarial faiths existed. It's one thing to be accepting and being sympathetic of other faith. It's other thing to let the other faith walk all over you. People in Hindus think that accepting means let them walk over you. And that's how people are allowed to come and, do a lot of damage to their own self, Hindus. So, whereas you are accepting overall in terms of what other people, not that we accept what they say. We just say live and let live, that's all we say. You do what you have to do and let us do what we need to do. Do not interfere. We don't interfere with you. You do not interfere with us. That doesn't mean that we accept what they say. No, we don't. We don't have to. At the same time, but then other religions don't believe that. Either you believe what we do or you get destroyed or you are killed. Hindus are that way tolerant of whatever you do, whatever you want to do. As long as you do not interfere with us. But all other people interfere with us. You see, Hinduism is not an organized religion. Therefore, there is no one organization that can, fight and battle. There are organized religions. Therefore, in terms of creating a combined strength, they are much more efficient than Hindus, Hinduism, which is not an organized religion, which gives total freedom of thinking. Therefore, there are as many philosophers, as many people are there. And therefore, we did not see the need of having to agree with each other. And still we could live. And so there was no unity among Hindus. And so Hindus could not resist or even save their own dharma against people who had unity as far as they may not have unity among themselves. But they're all united as far as converting, overtaking the other countries is concerned. They were very, very united. Christians, there are 2,000 denominations. They don't see eye to eye with each other. When it comes to converting, they're all together. So also Islam's also. They fight amongst each other. Comes to converting others, they're all in agreement. Hindus never thought of converting, interfering, and therefore they're not organized also. So therefore there is a need for us to be organized, have a common voice. There are so many sampradayas in Hinduism, as there are in other religions also. And each sampradaya has its own, view. But as far as protecting Hinduism, we should be all together. And our Puja Swamiji attempted to do this by creating a platform called the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha. Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha, where Puja Swamiji brought to one platform the Acharyas or head of the institution of various sampradayas on one platform, and to create an understanding that all of us are in danger and therefore we have to unite as far as protecting Hinduism. So what are the common problems? Work on the common problems. So this is how this has to be done. Hindus are not organized because we believe that an organized religion restrains people's freedom, spiritual freedom. But the disadvantage is that they are not united, so these fellows have to just take one at a time. And so there was no unity. That continues to remain even today. So Muslim aggressors came, they needed only one Kshatriya, one king at a time. Other people would watch until he came to him and killed him. And he came, not one, 18 times he came and they all watched. I mean, this kind of idiocy and stupidity you would never see in any history. You allow an invader to come 18 times. Anyway, so that is my personal problem. The thing is, this is how we have been, there is no unity.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Ah.
Thank you for, it's on. Okay. Thank you for speaking with us today. I was wondering, personally, I'm a college student, so sometimes I find it hard to maybe practice Hinduism in my daily life. Like maybe I miss evening puja or things like that. So I wanted to ask you, what are some ways that we can continue to practice Hinduism?
Well, ideally, they want us to perform prayers, 3 times a day, some minimum prayers. It isn't very elaborate. But in the morning, some prayer, chant a few verses. In the evening, let the midday prayer, but then at least once a day in the morning, perform some specified prayers. If your family has a tradition of worshipping a given deity, and if you also subscribe to that, then have some prayers for that deity. Have some prayers for the Lord Surya, sun. Have prayers for Ishvara in general, depending upon what your belief or, your tradition is. But some prayers to Ishvara are in order. If for nothing else, at least to express our gratitude for what all is given to us and continues to be given to us. When we recognize how we are constantly supported, how contribution is given in my life constantly, there should arise a sense of gratitude, and prayer is an expression of the sense of gratitude. So we have to find some time. After all, if you want to find time, you will find. You will find time for soccer, find time for, a birthday party, and whatever. And so I think if you want to make time, we can always make it. It's a matter of priority.
Namaste, Swamiji. My question is about the karma theory. So I was wondering, is it possible through intense bhakti or prayers that Bhagwan can write off someone's bad karma? Is there any scriptural support for that as well?
Yes. The prayers that we do, acts of worship, puja, chanting, prayers, which we generally do, are said to be general prayaschitta. Prayaschitta means act of atonement. To neutralize the past papa karma, which we do not know what they are. And therefore, a regular practice of prayers and some release activities will bring about some neutralization of the papa karma in the past. So it's always beneficial. As long as these prayers, etc., are done without any personal gain as an offering, then they will neutralize papa karma.
Namaste, Swami. I thank you so much for all you've already told us. I feel like it's cleared up a lot for me. I had a question about the Ramayana. So I heard a version that Ravana was apparently very well versed in the Vedas, and he was said to be very have a lot of knowledge in that way. Is one version I've heard. And so I wanted to know, obviously the Vedas and Vedanta and the philosophy there, it would teach you a lot about morals and how to be a good person and avoid the Arishadvargas and things like that. So I was wondering, how is that paradox possible if he supposedly knew all of this? Why did he fall for so much of the Arishadvargas, lusting after Sita when he should not have?
See, knowing has at two levels. Knowing is a general knowledge, and knowing what it means to me. I think Ravana never realized what it meant to him. He knew what is right and wrong in general, which also is question, of course, because he was so much intoxicated with lust and therefore anger and greed that he could not think rightly. So what we find in Ramayana is that his thinking was totally perverted. So we cannot say that he knew dharma, etc. I mean, he is portrayed as a Samvedi, and therefore a Pandita, something, that's what he said, because he descended from the, lineage of rishis. And so that kind of panditya or knowledge we may see in him when he argues in favor of what he wants to do, but we do not see any kind of a value for doing what is right. Well, basically what was right was to return Sita. He was told 19 times by different people that what you have done is wrong. Please return Sita to Lord Rama. He did not do. So that he was a Pandita of Samaveda, etc., maybe so. But his, general behavior, etc., did not reveal that.
Swamiji, I wanted to know the difference between Vanara and Kapi, because I've talked to some philosophers and they said that this idea of Hanuman is false. Because it's not monkey, because into monkey, because there's a different word for Vanara, monkey in Sanskrit, and that's not Vanara. So when Valmiki describes the Vanaras, he actually says Va-nara, which means, as the philosopher has said, can this be a man? Meaning, is this really a man? So it's a superhuman, that type of a idea. Versus at a later point, people start to talk about monkeys. So can you expand upon that, whether the Vanara race or the Vanaras were really monkeys or were they not monkeys?
All the evidence and description we see in Ramayana is that they were monkeys. Meaning that Lord Ramana, Hanuman was not the only one. There were, countless monkeys, and bears also were there. And therefore Lord Rama sought the help of all these people and raised them to the category of his friends, basically, or associates. As Lord Krishna did with the, so Lord Rama did for all these monkeys. There is no reason to interpret that way. Why should you interpret? Why should he not be monkey anyway? He's supposed to be the incarnation of Lord Rudra. But then that he had that superhuman powers. He displays all the siddhis in his, Garima. So all these siddhis we see in Hanuman. So there is no reason to deny that he was a Vanara. But then what about many, many other Vanaras? All of them will have to be interpreted that way, isn't it? With Sugriva or Vali or Angada and so many. So none of them were why should be good person? Ishvara.
Yeah.
Ishvara in Sanskrit. Any Lord is called Ishvara.
So that means even Parameswaran also.
That's why Parameshvara, we add an adjective, Parama Ishvara, to distinguish. Any Lord is called Ishvara, any king also is called Ishvara.
And what about the Saniswara?
All these are in their own way. As long as they rule a certain territory, they call Ishvara. There is just certain jurisdiction. All devatas have jurisdiction. They can be called Ishvara in that jurisdiction.
All right.
Namaste Swamiji, thank you for your time. My question is that why should we strive for something if we know like the world is going to end? Just part of Prakriti, and Shri Krishna tells Arjuna to rise above the gunas. So if Shri Krishna ji is telling Arjuna to rise above the gunas, then why should we do anything if all is equal?
Rising above gunas is three: sattva, rajas and tamas, right? When your mind is an influence of sattva guna, and grasping capacity, just then there is agitation. Six feet like that, you need living to transcend gunas. So that's why I do what is right. That is starting point.
Namaste Swamiji. My question is about meditation. So I've been trying to get into meditation, trying to practice for at least 5 minutes every day, but I have a hard time focusing, and usually my mind just ends up wandering whenever I try to meditate. I was wondering if you had any tips for best practices and how to start.
One thing is what it is that you meditate upon. If what you meditate interests you, you like to meditate, thinking about an object of meditation. If you like that thinking, enjoy that, then your mind is likely to remain with the object of meditation. If you don't, so mind always wants to have pleasure. So if what you are thinking about doesn't generate any pleasure in your mind, then mind will run away to something that it can enjoy. Therefore, choose an object of meditation. Cultivate a liking for that. Learn about that. Suppose it's Lord Krishna, Rama, Shiva, learn about them, learn about their glories, their beauties, their greatness. And then your mind may be then motivated to think about it.
Namaste. My question is about like prayers. So, like when we go to the temple, and you're saying a prayer, I find that like I don't really know what to think about. Like if I'm asking for something in specific, or I should just like hope that you know, like the right thing happens to me. Like I don't know whether it's right to ask for something in particular from God, or if I should just like be in devotion. So yeah, just like what is the best practice you think, like in terms of prayer?
Well, if you are in need of something badly, nothing wrong in asking from God. But if such a thing is not there, then you may as well perform prayer to please the Lord. So ideally you do something to please the Lord. But then we are human beings and we are needy beings, therefore we have a need also. So it's not an offense to say, oh Lord, now I'm going to appear for examination and so please take care. All right. But then we should know that progressively we should grow out of that. But to ask of some favor from Bhagavan is not an offense. Nothing wrong in it. But let us slowly rise above that. That would be our goal.
Hello, Swamiji. You're seeing me again, so say hi a second time. So I have like a big question for you, right? So I've been like watching some like YouTube videos on Hinduism and stuff, and I have a question. Do you consider like Hinduism like a religion or like a philosophy? Because like I see a lot of these videos and they're constantly like bringing up how like other religions like Christianity and Islam, they have like these commandments. So like thou shalt not like do adultery or something like that. And then if you commit these sins, right, you automatically go to hell. But Hinduism doesn't really have that. And like all the like the Christian and Islam, right? They like you have to like believe in God. Like anything God tells you, like you have to do. Like it's God's word, right? But in us, we question everything. That even what God says, because I know like Arjuna was like hesitating on what Krishna said sometimes. I know because like in Mahabharata when like you know he was riding out in a chariot and he was like I don't want to kill my cousins because they're my cousins, and Krishna was like nah, kill them, right? But like because like for dharmic reasons, right? So like I just want to hear your take on that.
Well, that is not Hinduism. It's based on commandments where God can get angry with you. God can punish you, you know, that God can get angry. And He can kill you, punish you. This God cannot get, what sort of God is He who gets angry? He's not much different from you and I then. So we don't accept a God who gets angry, God who punishes, we don't believe in that. God is always of the nature of grace and compassion. So if we feel that there is some kind of pain or suffering in our life, we do not look upon that as a punishment. Look upon that as a lesson for us to grow. Like a sculptor who sculpts a piece of rock, not to punish that rock, to shape that. Similarly also, we look upon Ishvara as the one who wants to shape us. And therefore, if there are some shocks in our life, we recognize that they also must have a purpose to serve. And this is how our attitude towards Ishvara is. If he gets angry, why should he get angry? Why does anybody get angry? I get angry when you don't do what I want you to do. That means what? my happiness depends upon you are doing something that I want. And if you don't do what I want, then I become unhappy. What sort of God is he who becomes unhappy? Who requires you to make him happy? We don't want to comment upon anybody else, but then this is not Ishvara. You understand what I'm saying?
Namaste. Okay. Namaste, Swamiji. I have a question for you. It's pretty broad. It's just, in all your years of kind of studying the scriptures, what's kind of the most valuable lesson that you've learned?
Well, we're talking about those lessons, in fact. First lesson is to do what is right. Second lesson is to worship Ishvara, bringing him, Ishvara, into your life. Third is to know Ishvara. So this is the sequence, and this is what we are pursuing in our life. Our priest is getting a little restless, I guess, because we have one or two questions. We are encroaching on his time now.
I just wanted to thank you on behalf of Hindu Students Council. We really appreciated this session. I think all of our, high school, college, grad students and young adults really appreciated just being able to ask you questions very candidly, and I hope that we can continue this dialogue in the future. I think all of the students really benefited from this session, so thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me to talk to you and learn what kind of, thinking and questioning is going on in your mind. And I'm very happy with you, all of you people, that you have questions. That itself is good. At the same time, I did not find any question which is questioning anything. So, having question is one thing, questioning is different thing. And I did not find anybody questioning. They had question, which is good. Questioning meaning that challenging and rejecting something, not accepting. I find a great attitude. Some reverence for the scriptures, reverence for Ishvara, and reverence for the tradition. And that is the basis for us to learn and grow. If you don't have that, then we cannot be blessed by any teaching. And so I'm glad that you have that right attitude, and I bless you, and you continue to study, learn, grow, and we'll see you again in future.
And thank you so much also for hosting us here and all the hospitality from the entire staff, so thank you.
Yes, they are always like that. Good. Om Shanti 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 Hare Namaha Hare Om.